All right, this is show number 185, recorded on November 9th, the day after some big event happened, apparently. So that's why we're on a Wednesday rather than a Tuesday, because we didn't think anybody would watch us on Tuesday night. They were busy doing other things. So tonight I have Paul Fontanelli. Did I say it right?
Perfect.
Awesome. On with me, and we're going to talk photography and go over what he does and all about him. Before we do, I wanted to talk about something, and that is this month's photo contest. Where's my mouse? This month's photo contest is a new subject that we've never done. You know, we've done, Paul, I was telling you this before the show started. We have done open themes. We've done themes like landscape and people and other thing like that. But this is a completely different one, and I probably will mess up the name, but we're looking now at our Facebook group, and it's called Pareidolia. And you can see one of the examples is already posted there by Millen. And this is, is where you see a face or something like that in an image, in an object that's not meant to be there. So as you can see here, I don't know if y'all can see my mouse, but yeah, you can see my mouse. Got little eyes and a little mouth in his coffee. So, this is, you need to be looking for where you see some kind of eye or some kind of other thing like that. And I think Gino, who made the thing, gave some examples, like here's a church, here's coffee again. Here is, I'm not sure what that is.
Mailbox or a birdhouse.
Mailbox, something with some newspaper stuck into it. And then this is, that's just like bell peppers or something that we cut in half. So find something like that. Find something, and she has a little definition there. You can look it up on the internet too. That fits that definition, and then come out and join our Facebook group is the easiest way to do it, which is, facebook.com/group/JPegToRaw. Enter, the contest is always posted at the top of the page, at the top of the group. Come out there and join and add your photo into the group. When we do a theme, we allow 2 images, so you can do 2 images. And if you load up your 2 and decide, I found something even better, you can always, up until the end of the month, delete the old one of the photos or both of the photos and add new ones. If you're not in the Facebook group, you can still enter. Go to our website, jpegtoraw.com. Go to photo contest entry. And since I'm streaming, this may take a second to do all this. And then just enter a little bit of information here, and then upload your photo. That's all there is to it. That's a fun topic. I rarely enter just because I'm doing this for other people, and plus it'd be a little awkward if I got into the finals or something like that. So I'd have to excuse myself from that. But this is a month I think I'm going to try and join. I've been looking everywhere I go. Can I make that a face? Can I do that from a different angle to make it a face? I've looked several times as I'm sitting here talking to you. So I think this is going to be
anything yet?
I don't.
Okay.
It's the 9th. I still got time, but I really want to enter this month. And I told Tim he's got to enter this month too. He is Tim. Oh, and by the way, it's just Paul and I tonight because Tim is traveling for work, so he is out. That's all I had for an intro. We'll go over some more stuff at the end. But Paul, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do with photography?
Yeah, you got it. Thanks for having me, Mike. So myself, I'm married. My wife, Jessie, we have 3 kids. They are 8, 6, and my youngest turns 4 tomorrow. So big day at the Fontanelli household. So that certainly keeps us busy. I have a full-time job. I work in the finance industry. But as it relates to photography, I just recently started a new website called photographytv.com. And I just really am a photo enthusiast. Enjoy it. Love talking about photography. Love everything about it. It's just kind of a way to get into the moment for me and experience it, take the picture, kind of see the output and kind of capture that memory going forward. So photography is something I've gotten into probably over the past 4 years or so is where I really started to get into it. I've always enjoyed photography. I always had a camera in high school and college. I'd be the guy with the little point and shoot, but I never really did anything more than just taking snapshots back then. But then about 4 years ago is when I really started to try to learn. And that's when, I got addicted, so to speak.
Now, one thing, you reminded me of something. So when did your daughter turn 4? Is it tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Okay. So, yesterday was the 8th. And here in the United States, I know we got viewers who are outside the United States, but here in the United States, November 8th is election day. It was something else in the Howard household. It was my wife's birthday, which is
fantastic.
Always the 8th, but not always on the election day, right? Yeah, it's not, election day is not always the 8th, right?
No, I think it's always on Tuesday.
Yeah, so it's right. It's always on Tuesday, but not necessarily the 8th. I remembered the vote, but I forgot my wife's birthday.
No. How'd you make that up to her? Did you figure it out today?
No. I figured it out once I got to work, and Facebook, the Facebook message came up and said, "Today's Joe Howard's birthday," and somebody else's birthday. Oh boy. So, there's not much making up you can do from there, but, happy birthday to your daughter and happy birthday to my wife if she ever listens to this.
Absolutely. We're on the sandwich day. We're right in between.
Yeah.
Both.
You think I would have remembered that, but we've been married a long time, so I'll just give it that. Okay. So, what type of photography do you like to do?
Probably I'd say two primary things. One is just photographing my kids. That's ultimately why I got more into it is, they were getting older, they were doing different things. And I felt this is just a great opportunity to kind of capture those memories and create them over time. So that's probably the number one thing I enjoy doing is just taking pictures of the kids, different activities they do, things like that. But then also anytime we go on travels, trying to take photos of the destination, try to make that again. It's just the way I enjoy experiencing places is kind of getting behind the camera and see what I can make of it. So I'd say kids and a little bit of travels when we do get out. I try to get out and capture some good images.
Yeah, that's how I got into the photography too, was with my kids.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way a lot of people start to get into it. At least a lot of people I know is that's when they'll go out and they'll buy a new camera is, either they've got a baby on the way or maybe their kid's getting just a little bit older and they want to start taking better pictures. So they go out and they buy that nicer camera. At least that's what I did. I think that's probably the start for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And we're streaming now some of the photos that you've taken. So, and a wide variety of them. So I've noticed right before when we first brought them up, we had surfing.
Yep.
And then I've noticed you had a swimming photo, and then you have this one of a little girl, which may be your daughter.
It is. Yeah, I think all the photos I submitted were of my kids. I didn't know if I wanted to submit one of somebody else's kids, but True. Yeah. So that's my middle daughter. She's 6. There's Disney World. So
that's
you're
for Tim.
I did put some in there for Tim. I know he's a big Disney guy, so I put a couple in there for him.
See that one behind you.
Exactly. But yeah, you'll see probably a wide variety because anything the kids are into, whether it's just going on a trip, whether it's swimming, like you mentioned, or things like that, I always try to bring the camera out and have some fun with it. But then some of these shots where my kids aren't in them, those are the travel shots. So the surfer that you saw earlier was a trip to California. Just went out to the beach, tried to find some good stuff. That's us flying to Disney. So I was just trying to pass the time in the plane and have some fun with it. So I'm not really a one type of subject photographer. I more just try to capture what's around me and have some fun with it.
Now, I know everybody always asks about gear, so let's get that out of the way. What do you shoot with, camera and lens wise?
Yeah, I have a few different cameras, but the primary one I shoot with is a Sony A99, and then I have a variety of lenses that go with it. But I'd say the one that's on there the most is the 24-70. It's a 2.8 aperture, and I've got a few others which we can get into later. But that's probably the one that is on it the most, other than when I need the extra reach, and I put the 70-200 on or something like that.
So Tim is missing out. He's not only do you have Disney photos, but you're also a Sony guy because he's a Sony lover. And, Sony's fine. I have no problem with Sony. Okay, so Sony and 7200 is one of your favorite lenses. What about software? What do you edit with? Before we ask that, JPEG or RAW?
RAW for sure.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, Yeah. And again, that's something I figured out as I started to get into it probably about 4 years ago was, what if you're going to edit your photos and use the software to do so, shooting raw gives you so much more latitude. So that was an easy decision. It was actually not a decision I made immediately. I was, oh, do I want to? The file sizes are bigger. But then once I started editing and I saw the difference, I never went back. So I think probably a lot of people have that consideration of, well, the pros and the cons. But if you do start editing, and I try to edit all the photos I take, then shooting raw became a no-brainer for me. So definitely raw. So I went from JPEG to raw, so to speak. And now I use Lightroom primarily to edit. At one point, I started using Aperture, which is a Mac-based application, but I moved away from that and went to Lightroom, and been there ever since.
When you went from JPEG to RAW, did you go straight, like cold turkey, I'm going to shoot just RAW? Or like me, where I was a little nervous about going cold turkey, so I shot, my camera allowed me to do JPEG and RAW at the same time, so I did that. And it wasn't that I was nervous that I'm going to have these RAWs I can't do anything with. It was I was primarily shooting my kids' sports, and I wanted to get photos up on the website for parents to look at, fairly quickly. And I did not have it was before I had Lightroom, so I did not have a good workflow for RAW, but I had a decent one for JPEG. So what I would do is go through, make light edits on all the JPEGs, put them up on the website, and then anytime, I think I was putting them up on not Smug Mug. I can't remember the name of the site now. Anyway, it's a site where they can go and they can download and order prints. And when they would order stuff, then I would have to go and edit those photos and go to the RAW, find the RAW, edit those photos, upload them, and then that's the ones that would be printed. So I made a transition. Did you go cold turkey, just shut off JPEG and go to RAW?
I somewhat did. So I did the same thing you did. I went JPEG and RAW at the very beginning, but I think I only did that for like 2 outings. And then I was just struggling so much with, all right, now I got 2 of the same photo. Do I store both of them? Do I not? And I got overwhelmed by having both and just not duplicating and all that. So then I finally just said, all right, I'll just go raw. And you're right. If you need super fast upload, it can slow it down just a little bit with raw, but I haven't had a big need for that yet. So I've pretty much just been raw.
For me, it was the workflow. I didn't, without having Lightroom, and I'm a PC guy, so I did not have Aperture either. I just didn't have a way I liked doing it, and I was using the Nikon software. I think is what I was using for the editing, which was it's good, but it was a little clunky. And then when I went to Lightroom, it was like this stuff. It makes RAW just as easy as JPEG.
There you go.
But with more options. So that's when I shut it off.
Shut
off JPEG and went straight there.
Yep.
Jimmy out in chat says he went cold turkey, went to RAW.
Good job, Jimmy.
Yeah, good job. So okay, you got all these different things, your kids' activities that they're doing. I've seen landscape, I've seen portrait, I've seen not swimming, but I did see swimming, but action, sports. Any favorite?
That's a good question. I'd say my favorites are just candids. And candids can obviously take place anywhere, but I just enjoy, again, anytime, kids and I are doing something big, I'll take the camera and like, there's a candid shot right there that just came up. So I just enjoy, and that was at a recent pumpkin patch. So I just enjoy trying to capture that moment live as it happens. Like I'm not a fan of say cheese right at the camera and posing those moments. That's probably, I actually challenge myself to get some of those because those are good for certain reasons. But I just enjoy the candid moments. So candid moments can happen anywhere. So that's probably why there's such a variety of my shots. Is I just enjoy kind of trying to capture it as I see it.
Okay. And we're seeing some NASCAR photos. We'll come to that in just a minute. So where do you want to go with your photography? Is it is it like me, where you're just going to be a hobby that you're passionate about, or do you want to take this to the next level and start earning money and maybe even I guess you have stages where you can go cold turkey. Hey, I'm going to do this full time. That's going to be my life. Or I know a number of people, I think Jordan, who's out there now, it's more of I got a day job, but I'm going to do this on the side for extra money. And who knows, it may turn into something more someday. What do you want to do with your photography?
Good question, Mike. Right now, it's definitely have a day job, do the photography in the evenings. That's why I started the website, though, was it's really a video-based website, hence photography TV. But it was an outlet to, I enjoy doing photography. I enjoy helping others, teach others that are interested in it as well. So, is there a goal over time to transition that to potentially bring in an income from the site and aspire to do that full time? Yes, but I recognize that's going to take a lengthy amount of time to just be able to get there. So for now, it's a good hobby, fun thing to do at night and in the evenings as a way to kind of put the work out there, but also help others at the same time is the goal of it.
And you mentioned the website. Let's talk about the website. So the website is photographytv.com.
Yep.
And tell me a little bit about why you started the website and what happens here. What the website
Yeah,
for.
You got it. Yeah, thanks. So I started it because I learned photography online. I learned by watching videos. I learned by going to YouTube, lynda.com, those types of video-based teachings, and I really enjoyed it. And I just remember when I'd watch it, I'd be inspired by the people that were teaching it and just be like, wow, what a cool experience they have to be able to do that type of thing. And it was just in my head like, oh, I'd like to do something like that. But then where photography TV came in and kind of the branding of it and the thought was my wife and I, my wife more than I, but she likes to watch HGTV. And I watch it with her and we watch all the different shows. And I was like, it'd be cool if they had something for photography about that, where it's basically a hobby and they have different shows about it. So that was the vision behind photography TV was, have a channel with different shows. So you're on the one called Take Better Pictures. This is where I do my tutorials, right? And I just, talk about composition. I talk about the exposure triangle. And someone that wants to learn photography, ideally they could come to this show and watch the different episodes. But then there's one on travel where I'll take the camera, the videos on different travel locations. So the idea is just have different series on different topics, just like an HGTV does. Obviously, I'm not a cable network with the resources that they have, but the idea is behind it. And that's kind of the design of the site and the fun I'm trying to have with it.
Okay. And what's the cost?
No, that's just an open site, no cost, just free resource for those that want to tune in and check it out.
That's awesome. Yeah, when I first went here, I thought all right, where's the cost?
Right.
And I came to my own conclusion. I think you're doing this for free, but I wanted to ask you that. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. You have Jordan Yance out there in chat. Hopefully I said his last name right. Who also does a lot of videos, and he was a guest a while back. And I love that you're doing, giving back to the community and offering this free resource here. And you even have a request a video. Is that somewhere where I said, hey, I'd like to learn about something?
Exactly.
Awesome.
So I'm so new to it that if someone says, hi, I'm really interested in learning about this, like send it my way and I'll see what I can do to make a video about it. So
yeah. Well, there's so many topics you can cover that, you have in your mind probably what I want to do next and next and next. But
Correct.
Somebody else might be waiting. I wish he would do one on, whatever. And
right.
If they go ahead and go to here, request a video, then they can get that. Maybe it moves up here on your list.
That's it. And if someone requests it, it'll move to the top of my list because like you said, I have ideas of things I want to do. But one of my friend's daughters wants to learn photography. And I just asked her, like, hey, what do you want to learn about? And one of the things she said was like, just what are the basic buttons on the camera? And again, that's probably not one that I would have thought on my own to make, but it's probably something that somebody may search for. It would help her kind of get started. So I'm starting to think about what the outline would be for that. Which buttons are probably the top 5 or whatever it is that you really want to know about your camera early on.
So JPEG to RAW started off as a show that was meant for the beginner. It was meant for, because when I'm looking at the guys out in chat, you and myself, maybe I'm the lowest of all you guys, but we're all way beyond the basics. We know what aperture is, we know what noise is and f-stop and all that. Different maybe skill levels with that. But, if I were to say, stop down to 2.8, you would know what to do there. But
Totally.
But if you think about somebody who's new, they're at all kind of different new stages, and they don't know anything. What is 2.8 or 5.6 or noise? I don't hear anything. It's the people who are brand new at it. There's just tons of stuff that we would overlook as far as what to teach them. So, I know you got a lot of stuff out there, but there's still so much out there, and Jordan has a lot too. There's just so much out there to continue to teach people, and it's great that you're doing this for free.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So that's kind of the idea of that series. And then for others, for people like yourself, hopefully there's stuff out there on the travel.
Mm-hmm.
I've done some interviews, had an opportunity to interview a photographer that shot the Olympics and got the picture of Usain Bolt where he was panning. I got to talk to that photographer, Cameron Spencer, and hear from him. So it's kind of the idea is have a little bit out there for everyone, but, kind of pick your series, pick your show is kind of the idea behind it.
Yeah. So I mentioned that we started off as beginning a show for beginners, and it didn't take long before we got off that. And I would always love to, I've mentioned this before, I'd love to go back and do a separate show that was just for beginners, but I just could never get that off the ground. And it would not be like this. It would be more like what we're doing here kind of thing.
Sure.
All right. So, and you do have, what is Support TV? You don't have any affiliates yet, but eventually you're hoping to get some affiliate links there.
Exactly. That's why I still have a day job, because there's no money coming in from it now.
Don't make the Amazon mistake I made, and I can talk about that off air where we lost our Amazon affiliate, and I'm not going to go through the process of trying to get it back.
Okay.
All right, so people can come out here to photographytv.com and check it out. It's a very easy to navigate site.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, all your links are right up there. What is the free ebook?
Basically, I just put together my top 10 ideas of, just people wanting to learn to take better pictures. So there's different tips in there. It's, a book format, but also videos embedded within the book. So just kind of a resource ideally to help people that want kind of more of a package statement of, hey, what are some top 10 things I can do to start taking better pictures, different ideas. So there's a few tips and ideas within the ebook.
Very good. All right. I want to talk to you about, let's see if I can find these photos here. You had a chance recently to go and shoot something I've never even seen in one of their events, but that is a NASCAR race.
Yep.
How did that come about, and what did you think of it? Because you're not a necessarily NASCAR fan, right?
No, not at all, honestly. So I'll talk about that as kind of part of the experience. But I got an email from our local camera shop, Fort Worth Camera, and they put on different events, and they say, hey, come join us. And so they sent an email that said, hey, opportunity to come shoot a NASCAR event and essentially work kind of as a photojournalist was the idea. And so it was a paid event, so I paid to go, basically bought my ticket. And then they hooked us up with the access. So it started in the morning, you meet there really early, there's nobody else there. And they say, all right, for today, it was kind of an experience. You're going to be a photojournalist. Here's your shot list of different things we'd like for you to try to capture. Here's the different times that you need to be at these different places. And then once they give us that, they say, go have fun. And so it's a pretty neat experience to say, all right, I got to be at the concerts, the pre-race concert at this time. They have a red carpet event. They have, signing ceremonies, all that stuff. So you do that throughout the day. And then obviously the race is at the end of it. Most of the pictures I think I sent you were more of the race, but it was just a really cool experience because it was most of the day on Sunday. Just to have the camera, go out, take pictures. I think I took something like 1,100 pictures. So I was having a good time at that. But it was just a cool experience. And that's kind of the way it was set up.
Were you using your 70-200 for most of these?
So for that one, I do have another camera too. I have a Sony A7, the mirrorless, and I was holstering it on both sides. So I had the A7 with the 24-70 on it. And then I had the A99, which is my primary, with the 70-200 on it. So I would just, depending on what I wanted, wide or tight, I would just kind of switch between the two.
Okay.
But I think I probably 2/3 of my shots were at the 70-200.
Then did you have, access that like the pro photographers and all those guys would have?
No, we were on the outside looking in for some of that. So the pros had this green vest on that said photo, and they could walk in the red carpet and go wherever they wanted. And we just had it. We had good access. We had an infield pass, so we could go anywhere on the infield, which was great. But we couldn't go like into pit row after the race started. You saw a couple shots there of pit row before the race started. Yeah. But so we didn't have full access like the pros would, but we had enough access for me to have a good time and go where I needed to go.
Oh, okay, I went one too far. Let's go back to the beginning here. Yeah, no, that looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. And there was
That
like
looks
a
like you're in the
5 hour.
pit. I mean,
That was before the race. So
okay.
that's what's wild about NASCAR. Again, I'm not a NASCAR fan, but what's really interesting about it, and I think this is probably why people love NASCAR so much that do, is they give you a lot of access. If you have that infield pass, which is, it's not a super limited pass, it's pretty crowded down there. Like I was on, that's 30 minutes before the race started.
Yeah.
30 minutes before the race started. I'm on pit row. And you can see the pit crew's out there getting ready. And I'm literally just walking around 30 minutes before it starts. I'm like, this is incredible. The drivers walk right by you. You saw a picture earlier of the car and they were working on it. I was 5 feet from the car. So and with photography, to get really interesting shots, like access and being able to go kind of behind the scenes is a really important thing to be able to get those cool shots versus just sitting in your seat the whole time. Right. So that's what was so neat about the experience. And I really was impressed with the way NASCAR does it for their fans and the access that they gave us.
So was there anybody, like, if you went too far, that would like say, all right, Paul?
Yeah. There was. I tried not to do that myself, but there was there were volunteers that would blow a whistle at you if you got a little in the way or something like that. But it was just they were keeping an eye on things.
Yeah. Okay.
But one last point, if I could, on that is there was a big rain delay. So the race was supposed to happen during the day, but the race ended up happening after dark, which when you're photographing, cars going 200 miles an hour and you're trying to get your shutter speed up to be able to handle that, the lights in that stadium were not that bright. So, I had to boost the ISO up quite a bit. And it was a really neat experience. The reason I wanted to talk about the night shots were it was challenging. And I think the way to grow as a photographer is to put yourself in positions where it is challenging. And, some of those car shots, if you can find them of the night shot where they're moving by, it would take me 10 shots to get it framed appropriately, to get it in focus. I ended up manually focusing instead of autofocusing. So that's a good one. When I autofocused, I'd start where I wanted, but then after a shot or two, it would start to grab the fence and go out of focus. And that's a good one too. So I ended up going to manual focus so I could control that. But it was just a good experience. I think that's for any photographer, anytime you could put yourself in a situation where it's like, all right, this isn't the broad daylight, easy portrait shot. It's a little bit more challenging. I know I learned a few things just trying to figure it out, there was a photography event, so there were other photographers there, talking with them. So it was a really cool experience for that purpose.
I would also think that because you've got car after car going by, you get the practice. Like how fast do I need to pan? What shutter speed do I need to get to do this? The manual focus versus the autofocus. Yeah, because that fence there. I've had that happen before with if you're shooting like through a fence for softball or t-ball or something like that. You got to get right on that fence if you can, and go as wide open as you can to blur out the fence. If you have to be back any, now what you're going to have to do is probably going to have to manual focus, because that fence is going to keep grabbing the focus.
That's definitely what happened. Yeah. Exactly. And then to your point of how fast do I pan, like the first couple of ones I went too fast and the car fell out of the frame. Yeah. Next one I went too slow and the car moved in front of me. And then, it's like the porridge and the bears, like the third one. Finally I got it right. So it was definitely an experiment. I think I probably took, 100, 200 shots of the cars, and maybe 5 of them were like framed in a good way, in focus, all that. So trial and error was definitely on my side on that one.
So Jimmy out in chat has a question. Were the other pro photographers that were there helpful to you? Or
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was cool. So I'm definitely an amateur and just a photo enthusiast, but there were pros there. There was one that was with the event that he was a photojournalist. Mm-hmm. So he was helpful in the sense of, all right, here's the important things to think about in photojournalism, and you don't influence the event in any way. You take the shots that are there. So he kind of gave that coaching and insight. Then a quick tip I can share, which I thought was really helpful for me, was one of the pros. He's not a photojournalist, but he's just a professional photographer, and he had a Sony as well, an A7R II. And he just asked me, he's like, do you ever use Wi-Fi? And I haven't, even though one of my cameras can do it. I've never used the Wi-Fi feature. And he's like, well, here's how I use it. And he pulls up the Wi-Fi. He puts it onto his he sends it to his phone.
Yeah.
It was a raw image. He then pulls up Adobe Lightroom mobile on his phone, does a quick edit, posts it to Instagram. And he's like, this is really quick to get, like after he does a photo shoot, he'll do a quick teaser to the people that were at the photo shoot and be able to give them a professional grade image like minutes after the photo shoot. And he says they get really excited about it. So his name is Brandon. I wish I knew his last name to give him full credit for the tip. Yeah. But it was cool just being able to talk with them. That's kind of the fun of the event, is you get a lot of different ideas and tips. And, it's just one I haven't done before to use the Wi-Fi.
That's one of the things I love about the photo community is, for the most part, there's always bad actors, but for the most part, we're willing to help each other. You got this free resource here. I know Jordan has free resources too, and y'all are willing to help each other with this. And then this guy here could look at you as this guy going to take away some of my business, but is willing to work with you and talk to you with that. I know a lady that works for me. Her husband, that's what he does. Is I think he's mainly just NASCAR. And, he has the massive 400 millimeter, 500 millimeter lenses. He's shooting for, I don't think he shoots directly for Sports Illustrated, but he's had numerous photos in Sports Illustrated, that type of thing. So he loves it. His images are awesome. I'd love to go shoot NASCAR someday.
It was fun for sure. If you get an opportunity, take it. Try to get an infield pass. That's where I felt that's where the access was different than just walking around the stands the whole time. Mm-hmm. So it really was a cool experience.
Now, if you got one up here where you have the two cars going by.
Yep.
Does the pro guys have access where they would be able to shoot? How would they shoot, not get the fence in it? Because you gotta have the fence between you and the cars.
Yeah, there's a couple of spots around the turns
where maybe have a hole.
The fence opens up and it's at an angle that you I think you're safe from the cars. I couldn't really get access to that entirely, but even if I did, it would have been a tough shot to get appropriately framed. So I think probably what a lot of the pros do is, like you mentioned, those really big zooms, is they'll just be above the fence line, and they have such a tight zoom that they can still get really close to the cars and make it look like you're right on them. But I think they're actually above the fences shooting down to some extent. I could be wrong. I did see one guy up at the stands when I was about to leave, and he had massive, it was a 500 millimeter with a 2X conversion on it. And he's taking the shots of them going around. And I take my 200 millimeter and take a shot, and we kind of look side by side. And obviously I got a laugh out of that because he's like looking through the windshield and I'm not even close. So I think they got some extra reach on it.
Yeah, I mean those 500 and even the 428 and 500. I mean, you're talking $8,000 or more for that gear. You can see that in any Sunday or Saturday. You'll see the pro photographers of college and pro football. They maybe have a 70 to 200 around them, or maybe something else, a little smaller, and then they got the big thing, the big 400 or whatever, and those are awesome for those kind of fields. Still can't reach all the way to the other end of the field, of course. But
you got to move your feet.
Yeah, I always, whenever I love football, but whenever they go toward the sideline, they run in and they're going out of bounds or they're doing something like that. I'm always looking Canon, Nikon.
Right.
Don't hit that camera.
Exactly. I remember watching the Olympics and seeing they'd show just in the background, you could see the big crew of photographers. I was like, oh man, that's incredible. I could imagine shooting the Olympics.
Yeah.
That's what gave me the idea to interview that Olympic photographer.
Is that on your website too, the interview? Or
it is. Yeah. It's under one of the how to get that shot. And you'll see the picture of Usain Bolt. It was really that famous shot of Usain Bolt where he was panning. And so I just tweeted the guy, Cameron Spencer is his name, really awesome photographer. He talked to me. So if you go right there, that one. So that was just a cool experience to be able to talk to literally a pro photographer at the top of his game, came out with one of the most famous images of the Olympic Games. So he was a really nice guy.
He's looking over at that smile. And of course, that's an awesome pan too.
Exactly.
You definitely get the feel of the speed.
Yes. Yeah, so it was really just neat to talk with him, hear how he got that shot. And he, obviously Bolt looking over and smiling at the same time made that pretty epic.
So that, that is absolutely skill, but also some luck being in the right place at the right time and
That's
having the
exactly
same
what
look
he
over
said.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he said.
I think, sometimes you don't have a choice where you can place yourself in these kind of events. Other times you do. So you've placed yourself to give you the opportunity, but then you have to have the skill that when the opportunity is there, you're ready and you know what to do with it.
That's right.
Yeah, it looked like he did. Yeah.
You create your own luck. He talks about in the interview, but he said he wasn't even tasked with photographing that race. So that was the semifinal. That wasn't the final. And he was tasked with doing high jump at the time. But he knew, okay, the semi's about to go. I'm on the infield doing high jump. Let me just bounce over here, see if I can get a pan shot, because he's a photojournalist. They're told you got to do certain things. And because he wasn't asked to photograph that race, he was like, well, let me try to do something creative and just see if I can get something unique. And so to your point, it's luck that Bolt looked over and smiled, but it's not luck in the sense that he figured out where to be. He thought of coming up with a shot and he executed on it. And then the timing was just perfect. So pretty cool story. And to your point, you've got to have the skills to take advantage of the opportunity, but also a little bit of luck along the way.
And how did you guys end up, how'd you meet him?
Yeah. So I saw that photo and I was just inspired by the Olympics. So I was like, hey, I wonder if I can interview him. So I sent him I think I sent him an email.
Okay.
And he replied back and said, yeah, let's talk. So
that was awesome that he was open about that. Yeah.
He's a phenomenal guy. I mean, to be at his level and to be talking to someone like me that's, got a brand new site. I was very grateful and it was a cool experience.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So what are you wanting to do with the site? What's your goal? Where would you like to see it go?
Yeah, I mean, right now the goal is help people. I think that's definitely the number one goal is, find things that or put things out there that people find helpful, find interesting, grow the audience in that way just by being helpful. But long term, there's definitely a goal to, find revenue from it, whether it's affiliate links, whether it's courses, sponsors, that's the vision behind it. But I recognize that's going to take a lot of time. So I'm patient with that, and we'll just continue to put things out there. Hopefully people enjoy it and add value is the number one goal.
And so I mentioned this before, but do you have here's a list of videos I'd like to do over time?
I do, yeah. So as I mentioned, the photography TV, the idea behind that is there's different series. So one of them is Take Better Pictures, which is the beginner's lesson. So I definitely have a list there. I've done the very basics of the exposure triangle, but I haven't gone much more detail beyond that yet. So I do want to get a little bit more detailed into that, just different photo lessons, things like that. And then other series like how to get that shot. So that's just a fun one. Like, hey, how do you photograph fireworks, right? So just making videos about photographing fireworks or pan shots, like the Usain Bolt interview is one of those. So just different ideas, different tips there. I've just started trying to get more interviews. So the one of Cameron Spencer is really the only one I have right now. But I think I'm interviewing Peter Hurley on Friday, and he does the headshots. Famous photographer there. So I think interviews will be another one. So there's just different ideas I have out there. It's probably a little bit of a whirlwind right now of different things I'm trying to work on, but that's the idea is, keep putting content out there, but have different categories of it to, engage people differently.
Yep. And John Davis out there says in chat I can use some help. So if you don't have, there's not a video already here, John can head on over to request a video. And
that'd be awesome.
Wait a second. I missed something. Sometimes I'm working on the next thing I'm pulling up and I miss something that somebody said. So what did you say something about Peter Hurley?
I did. So I just mentioned I'll be interviewing Peter Hurley on Friday as part of another video for the site.
Wow. So Jimmy says, nice score. That is a nice score.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm super excited and very grateful for Peter being open to do the interview. So I talked with him in a couple of days.
Oh, very good. Very good. So we find that here on the same spot of the site, the how to get that. Wait, where are we finding that?
That's what I got to work on. I think what I'm going to do is just have a series called interviews and put that right on the front. So I've only had one interview thus far. So I
Yeah.
just kind of plugged it where I could. But in the future, when I start doing more, I'll have just a series called interviews that you can go to.
Okay.
So that's where that one will land once it goes through. Now I hope Peter shows up because I've kind of put it out there. So, but nonetheless, he was super grateful and just talking to me, and hopefully we'll get to talk to him on Friday.
If you do enough of them, sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't, and sometimes,
Exactly.
the way I look at it is oftentimes a person, I'm not paying anybody, not paying you, not paying anybody,
Right.
and sometimes on the other side, they are working a full time job and have gigs whenever they can get them for money, and if one of those gets in the way of the show, hey, go do that. We'll reschedule and do the show some other time.
Of
So you
course.
can always reschedule. Yeah. The hard part is getting them to respond in the first place. Once
Yes,
you're there, you're halfway there. You're more than halfway there.
That's right.
All right. So as interesting site, we'll have to keep an eye on that. I will post it
Thanks.
onto our Facebook page, and give people a chance to go over there and look at it. But now we're starting to head into we're almost to the end already. Wow, this is going by fast. So let's go to the segment that we call "What's in Your Camera Bag."
You got it.
So what's in your camera bag, Paul?
All right. So I actually was prepared for that, and I have everything that's in my camera bag for the most part on the table. So you'll have to kind of cut me off at some point. But I mean, obviously, we can start with the simple stuff, right? Which is the camera. So here's the A99 that I use, and I really like this camera. What really turned me on to this model, and obviously a lot of models within Sony have it, but I like the electronic viewfinder. So I know some people either love it or you hate it, but I was really a fan of it early on. I think what I liked about the electronic viewfinder was when I was learning, it helped me learn. It was easy for me to get into manual because I could see if I was overexposed, underexposed, or what the difference needed to be. So I really like the electronic viewfinder from a learning perspective. And then obviously once I got used to it, now I really like it. So that's the simple one, right? I also have, here's the two lenses. So here's the 24 to 70 2.8 that I use. This is probably my 70% of the time what's on the camera. And then here's the 70 to 200 2.8. This is probably my favorite lens to shoot with, and I think I always get my favorite shots with it.
What brand are those two lenses?
They're both Sony. Okay. So this one, Sony actually has a partnership with Zeiss, so it's branded with Zeiss, but it's through Sony.
Okay.
So it's through Sony, and then this is just the Sony G.
I didn't know they made
series.
Their lenses white.
Sony does, yeah, just like Canon.
Okay.
Just the 70 to 200.
Okay.
So. So those are the easy ones. Some fun stuff I thought I'd show. This is fun. I don't know if it's fun, but this is a little. It's called a capture, and it's from, I forget the name of it. I should have had that. Peak Design. Good thing it said it on the back. Peak Design capture. The reason I like this is I go hiking from time to time, so I have a big backpack on, and I was struggling with, well, how do I carry a big camera if I'm hiking? I can't have a strap or whatever it is. So one time I was out hiking and I saw this woman that had this strap to her backpack strap. And what you do is you can easily just screw this into the bottom like a normal tripod mount and then clip it in, and your camera will hang right here on the backpack strap. So I love that because then when I'm out hiking, you just click the button, camera pops off, and you've got it right there. So for anyone that either does hiking or likes to carry a backpack and doesn't want the camera dangling from a cord, something like this is really neat.
Now, imagine with that, you're going with a fairly small lens, not like 70 to 200, right?
Right. I've never done it with a 70 to 200, but I have done it with the 24 to 70.
Okay, that's a good size.
It is pretty big. And
it doesn't feel awkward or bounce around awkwardly?
Not with the hiking backpack, because a hiking backpack has 30, 40 pounds on the back that you're already used to a lot of weight that, 3 or 4 pounds here doesn't throw you off.
Okay.
If I had a 5-pound backpack on the back and a 5-pound camera on the front, then maybe it would throw me off a little bit, but otherwise it actually worked out really well.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's one thing. Cool. Something similar. So is if you want to just carry your camera on your belt, you could use that Peak Design capture, but I also have this other thing, and it's like a spider. I forget the exact name of it, but what it does, this is just a Sony camera, this is a Nikon D3300. But I have this, and what it does, I'll try not to give you an awkward shot, but you can clip it on your belt.
Yeah.
And it just goes right in. Let me see if I can get a better angle.
There we go.
And so you can just have that, and it just pops right off. So if you need quick and easy access on your side.
That's cool.
That's kind of the idea behind that one. So I don't use that a lot, but I actually have used it recently, and especially if you have a smaller camera, it's really easy to just take off and shoot and do that. So
does it have a lock mechanism to where you couldn't accidentally knock it off?
Yeah, that's what just happened. Why I was like, I can't get it out as I locked it. Okay. So that's why it took me a few seconds more. But yeah, so it's kind of just we'll call it a hip holster. And I think it's called a Spider. I forget exactly the name of it, but you can see kind of the branding on it.
Yeah.
This little Spider.
Okay.
So that's a fun little one. This is my Nikon D3300. I use this in some of the tutorial videos because I like to be able to just use, a camera, more of an entry-level camera to give tips and ideas so that, I'm not teaching a beginner with super, super expensive gear that they feel they don't have access to. So I use that one for that. Let me think what else. So obviously this is nothing special, but it's a GoPro. And the reason I wanted to show it is most people think of GoPro and they always just turn it on video.
Yep.
But where I've had some really fun with the GoPro is to flip it to the camera mode.
Yeah. And
you can get really cool shots because number one, it's a really wide angle if you keep it on the wide setting. And for the longest time, I didn't have a camera lens that could go wider than 24 millimeters. So I would use my GoPro as the ultra wide angle and get some cool shots. So that's one thing, is the angle is really wide. I've since bought a wide angle, but the other cool thing about the GoPro is it's waterproof and it can go anywhere. So I was at the beach this year with my kids and I was able to get in the waves, kind of almost under the waves of them boogie boarding and use the GoPro to get a cool shot of them coming over the boogie board. So, the GoPro, if you have them, so many people have them these days, don't forget that they're a camera as well and try to be creative and have some fun with that.
You know what I did for my GoPro is I was shooting a baseball game, and as I'm shooting the kids out in the outfield, we're about to have the third out, they're about to come back in. As they're about to come back in, I go to my phone because I use the GoPro app and tell it to start, and I have it taking, a photo every second or 2 seconds, whatever it is. Yes. So as they're in the dugout, that thing's going off and taking those photos. And as soon as they're about to go back out in the field, I turn it back off because I don't want photos of an empty dugout. But yeah, the GoPro is something that you often forget for the photo side of it.
Yeah, well, I love what you just said there is you can put it in a really cool location that otherwise you might not be able to get to. And then to your point, shoot it remotely. That's something I haven't even really done much with it. And just get different, because I'm a big believer that what makes a cool and interesting photo is different angles, different perspectives. Get out there and move around versus just staying in the same spot and shooting the same shot over and over. So I just love that tip that you just gave because you probably got a really cool look at the dugout.
Yeah, and if you place it in the right spot, they forget it's even there or don't even know it's there.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what makes the shot even better is it's their natural look and environment. Absolutely. So those are a few things. I can keep going if you want. But one thing I use quite a bit, and again, these are nothing super special, but if you don't have a remote shutter release, this can really help get cool and interesting shots. Again, as I travel, this is how I take selfies, is the way I like to say it. The old to do that with a selfie, that you don't get any interesting shots doing that. But I love doing this on a tripod to get some cool.
What remote are you using there?
Oh, it's just a Velo FreeWave, and I think I just found it on B&H. I just looked for whatever plugs into my Sony. It was $14-15, I think.
Okay. Yeah, very good.
But yeah, this is a fun one to just go set the tripod up, take a shot. One of the shots that went through earlier, we were at Yosemite National Park. I don't know if you can pull it up quick. We can kind of show an example of this. The three of us sitting down overlooking Half Dome. That's kind of an example of something we did with it.
I'm trying to get there.
No, you're good. I kind of threw you a curveball there. While you're doing that, I can kind of keep looking.
You can get something else while I'm trying to get that.
Yeah, I guess one other thing, I'm kind of in the way to hold your camera, but one thing I really like is the Black Rapid shoulder strap.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I love
there's the
that one too.
shot. So I like the Black Rapid shoulder strap because I just like having it on my side. It's really easy to walk around, things like that. So yeah, there's the shot. So that was just put it on the tripod. You can see, you don't see my hands. I'm holding the remote shutter release, and just take the shot, quick, easy. Fun ways to kind of take those remote shutter releases.
Yep, that's awesome. You would have
Those are
thought
a few
somebody
things.
else. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say I got more lenses and cameras over here, but that's pretty standard stuff.
No, that's
Those
good.
are
Thanks for sharing what's in your camera bag.
You got
Um,
it.
always fun to see what is in other people's bag and what they shoot with. So thanks for sharing.
Absolutely.
All right. Where's the best place for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So photographytv.com is the site, but I actually created an extension on that just for you and your audience, Mike, of if they want to get that free ebook, it's a great way to get in touch with me, but also just kind of get a little bit more than what the site has to offer. I created a site, photographytv.com /JPEG to RAW.
Oh, let's look at that.
And so that is just a site that'll take you right to and the free ebook. But also, if anyone wants, I'll also give them a free 30-minute Skype lesson or kind of photo review. So I made that just for you and your audience. If someone does want to connect to the ebook, get a look at the ebook, and also if they want to chat with me and talk photography, I'll anyone that signs up, I'll give them a 30-minute free Skype conversation. I'd love to talk photography. So
very good. And John was saying that he could use some help. So there you go, John.
That's perfect.
Yep. Very good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's see. Jimmy says he Velcros his remote to his monopod, which makes it easier to shoot. Yep. That's a good idea too. Hey, I just see you even have the welcome fans of JPEG Raw on the.
Yeah,
notice that
personalized
first
it for you.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
And I'd like to say thank you to John, Jimmy, and Jordan, and somebody else out there. I missed somebody. I know this is a weird night for us, but you may have come here last night because you didn't want to have anything to do with what was going on last night, or at this time of night maybe nothing was going on. I don't remember, but we thank you for coming out here tonight. If you want to get the show, if you want to get the recorded show, we have the audio version on Stitcher, Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Podomatic, Podbean, and Google Play Music. So all over the place. Wow. The video is on iTunes, YouTube, and Vimeo. I always put the YouTube out. That's the one that usually goes out first. So you can get it on all those places. And at least for now, our app is still active, I think. We'll find out here as I check. But I think the app company is going out of business. So, yep, still working. So the app's still working. And that's the good way you can get both the iTunes audio and video feed, and you can get the YouTube videos, which is all the YouTube, the main show like this, the photo review show, and we have a special cut for the What's in Your Camera Bag. All those things you can get there from the app, as long as it's still active. I think if you download it before they go out of business, maybe it'll stay there. We'll see.
That's the plan. Get grandfathered in, right?
To tell you the truth, it was not a great app. It's an okay app, but it was $30 a month. So I'm hoping I can find a solution that's cheaper for me, because I don't charge free for you, $30 a month for me to have it. So I'm trying to find a solution that is at least as good for you and cheaper for me to do that. So until then, you can still do this. The app is available for now, and the iTunes store, I guess that's what they call it, the Apple side, the iTunes store.
I think that's exactly it.
and in Google Play. Yep. All right. Don't forget to enter our contest, which I showed that earlier. But since we got new people here now in the chat, I'll show this here. We're doing pareidolia, which is seeing faces in my everyday objects, like you have here with this with his coffee cup.
That's like an emoticon right in the coffee. It's perfect.
It's awesome, isn't it? It's like a little smile.
With the eyeballs too.
With the eyeballs, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that one. So go out there to our Facebook group and join the group and enter into that month's contest. Next month, let me get you over to me. Next month, Paul, this may be our 4th year in a row doing this. Every December for the last, this being the 4th year, I think, we've done the best of the year photo contest. So I mentioned that there earlier that we have done open themes. We've done themes like this one that we're doing this month. But the one for December has always been open, your best photo of the year, any photo you've taken during a year. Otherwise, it's usually the photo taken that month. And
Gotcha.
we do try and give away some actual prizes. So right now I have got this, which is the photographer plan from Adobe. Gives you 1 year of Photoshop and Lightroom. I have a $25 Amazon card. And
good stuff.
We have more coming. So that's all I got so far. That's what I got right now. But I'll be getting a lot more coming up soon. So be getting ready for December to enter that photo contest. Love to have you out there. I'll be putting more on the Facebook page and that kind of stuff so you know what's coming. Usually Tim's here to help me if I forgot anything. But we'd love to have you like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and while you're there, go over to Paul's YouTube channel, which is, I'll pull it up here.
Yep, same photography
photographytv.com. Go to YouTube over there. You have all these links when we go back to photographytv.com. You have a good, your links are easy to find right up here at the top. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Flickr right there, easy to find. So if you want to get a hold of Paul, it should not be hard to do.
Thanks, Mike. I liked all your pages too, so I'm following along.
Awesome.
Loving
yes.
it.
Well, that's all I have for tonight. Until next week, keep it raw. Good night, everybody.
Night. Thank you.